For someone in 20, 30 years old to have a bikini body, quite simple. For someone to have a bikini body at 50, 60, 70, that is a great achievement. So the question is, which do you want? So if you want to look good, feel good, and be strong and healthy all the way, then better rethink what you're doing now, because you may be using up all your body's essence now, and then you'll be depleted, and you won't be able to even live that long.
Good afternoon or good evening. So whenever you are right now, this is our episode 3, and today we have Eugene. So if you don't know about Eugene, Eugene for me is a super fit uncle because not only his age, also his energy, and then he's like like so always so cheerful, and then always so energetic, and then also I think he's the I should say the biggest impression for me is Ironman, because he can do so many stuff, and then he knows how to train, he knows how to eat, he knows how to even like recovery or rest, and then also plan for the like everything. But I believe he's here is not only talk about his Ironman journey. He also wants to share more about uh, like his philosophy, his idea, his stories, and then his knowledge, everything he wants to share today. Like I don't want to spoil too much, so let's just say hi to Eugene. Eugene, hello.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hey there.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really thankful for this invite. Actually, this is probably my first podcast. Doing it on Zoom, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, great to be here.
Okay, so let's straight away jump to our first question. Okay, so Eugene, uh, please tell like something like I should say your background. So why did you leave your I mean the corporate world, and then now you have become a coach in health and fitness industry. So how's it going? And then like why? And then so let's tell us your journey.
Okay, my journey, well, from a very young age, I've actually been very active in sports, and I really love doing sports. So when I was in high school, I actually competed in various sporting activity in athletics, and also did taekwondo. And once I left school and got into the university, I still did very little. I actually played squash a little bit, and then when I came back from university and started working, I started working my corporate career in banking, and the demands of banking is actually quite high. And the only thing that we had time to do at the time was actually 10-pin bowling, and that's also because of the sports club. So I did it. You could say semi-professionally. I played the leagues, 3 leagues a week. So we were doing very well as a team. But after a while, I left Malaysia and returned to New Zealand. And going back there, my wife and I, then we actually went back to do some studies, some religious studies, and I grew very lazy and very fat, eating very good food there, and then and then actually it came to a point where my weight was very high, and we wanted to start a family, and we tried, but nothing was happening, and I went to the doctors to actually check. I didn't want, as an Asian man or Asian family, usually a lot of Asian would blame the female, right? If you cannot have a child, then it's a female problem, right? So I
Yeah.
didn't want that, and so I went to see the doctor first. And after the checkup, doctors say everything was okay, except that my cholesterol level was actually very high. And so the doctor say, you either start on medication, which I didn't want to, or I could change my lifestyle. So I started from that point. How old was I then? Yeah, in 30, I think 31 at the time, and that's when I really started to look into health and nutrition, how to take care of myself. And I lost some weight then, but at the time it was still very hit and miss. I was losing weight, but I was putting on weight again. So I had that on and off, and really just understanding it from the internet and things like that. So it wasn't formal. My understanding wasn't formal. But when I returned back to Malaysia, I actually then formalized my learning on nutrition care, supplementation, exercise, and how this all work together, and hence my interest in actually getting into it. In fact, I almost got into chiropractic care, right? Because when we came back, that was the beginning of all these chiropractic centers in Malaysia. But it didn't happen that way, and I came back, and we started a business in fitness. So we used to run something called the Fit Club. It is very much like taking people to the park and doing exercises and things like that. So we had quite a number of people. On a Saturday, we would have almost close to 100 people show up at our Fit Club in Kelana Jaya. So it was quite happening. And then unfortunately, it was also a business then, and I wasn't a very good business person then. I was better, working in corporate than in business, because I didn't know how to manage. Also, didn't have experience, and also very little learning on doing business. And so the business actually, we actually closed down the business because it was causing too much stress. And that's why a lot of my focus in what I do has got to do with the family unit. I believe being healthy is actually holistic, rather than just being very fit, or eating very well, but in the area of, let's say, the emotional and the mental and development of the family unit is not there. That causes a lot of stress. And when you, as you know, when there's a lot of stress, actually there's a lot of cortisol, a lot of chemicals in the body that's imbalanced, and that actually causes many things to go wrong. And so that's why I focus a lot on family. And so I went back to the corporate career, and continue there to learn how to build businesses, right? And at the same time, um, I also started my journey on the Ironman, right? So how it all got started was because my mom, actually, I was asked by a friend to join him. Actually, before the story about my mom, I was asked by a friend to join him to recce an Ironman course. He was the one who was setting up Desaru Coast to set up the Ironman kind of a multi-sport uh, village in Desaru Coast. And so it's very exciting. So I went with him and we had a VIP pass. So we went to all the different places that even the contestants can't go. And that was during the Ironman that year. And so it was quite an eye opener, and when you are there, you actually feel the adrenaline, but as a participant versus a spectator is very different, right? So I said, hey, one day I must try this. So my friend actually said that, hey, when it comes to Desaru, you have to come and participate in this. I said, okay. So I just said okay because he invited me, right? So, so yeah, so that was when it started, in a sense. If you're talking about the Ironman journey, right? So that seed was planted, and so I started running again. I started biking a little bit, and then what happened was my mom actually contacted with cancer one year. Actually, 3 Christmas ago, we found out on Boxing Day, actually the day after Christmas, and she had to go for a surgery and go through chemotherapy. And so that year, I shaved my head bald with my father, my brother. We all shave our head bald to join her, right? Because she was losing hair. So just to, as a family. So it was very important for me, right? The whole family unit getting together and doing things. So I didn't think my dad and my brother would do it, but we all shaved bald. And so during that year, we focused a lot on helping her. And so I did even more studies at that time on nutrition and how it works and how stress, relate to a lot of all these non-communicable diseases. And my knowledge actually grew quite a bit, and that's also when I started to dabble with things like kefir, kombucha, and different things like that. So a year after that, when I found out that she actually texted after she got the result. She said, "Hey, she's cleared of any cancer cells." So I was so happy. I was sitting with my kids in the cinema. I think we were watching, I can't remember now, a cartoon or something like that. And so a group of my friends actually were texting and say, "Hey, they're going to join this triathlon." And so I signed up for the PD triathlon, and signed up, and I was so happy for my mom. I signed up, and then we watched the movie, and after coming out of the movie, I started to feel a bit panicked because I know I can run, I know I can cycle, but I didn't know how to swim. So I very quickly asked a friend, where do you do this training? And so I knew that if I wanted to do this, I want to do it well. And so I enrolled myself into RC coaching, which is still, the best thing that ever happened in my journey in triathlon. Met this group of amazing people. And Coach Rupert actually was very kind. He said, "Hey, don't worry, we'll take you from zero, and we'll make sure that you get to your goal, which is to do the Ironman at the end of the year." And that was 2 years ago. And I actually completed the Ironman 70.3 Langkawi, which was actually one of the toughest course in all of Ironman, right? So yeah, so that was that. And I was supposed to do 4 Ironman this year, uh, 3 70.3 and 1, the full Ironman. But obviously, because of the COVID and the lockdown and things like that, all of that got postponed. So let's see what happens in 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's why all the training has started, as we were talking just now. This training have all started again. So we've gone back to swim, bike, run, and doing something called the base training. So there's all these different steps that you do. Yeah. So that's how it all got started.
Wow, that's actually a very interesting story because I there are a lot of people out there, um, whether it's coaches or athlete, not many actually has the uh, capacity as well as interest to actually go in depth into a holistic approach of health. And even people who graduates from the relevant field, having a bachelor degree or getting a certification as a trainer or coach, doesn't necessarily look at um, health and fitness the way that you looked at. And after you explain about your incident with your mom as well as your personal health, I can totally understand why you have all the knowledge base that you have right now, because it is a lot being applied already. Like you really learn and apply compared to, sometimes it's a lot of theory involved, but then it's not so easy in application. Yeah. So by the sound of it, right, it's gonna go a little bit off tangent. So the question is a bit random. It's like there is also a lot of like philosophy behind your approach. Could you talk to us more about that? Like, how do you make these changes sustainable?
Yeah. So I think one of the very important factor of maintaining a routine of health and fitness, right? So what I like to call as an active, healthy lifestyle, right? Because it's not just about going onto a diet, or not just about now, excelling in a sport, but actually to look at it holistically and say, hey, an active, healthy lifestyle means it's a lifestyle first, right? Lifestyle means you make changes not for a certain period of time, and you don't do drastic things in a short period of time and then you go and rest, right? So that's not it. And that's why the significance of the Ironman, or the triathlon, so to speak, is so pivotal for me, because as I was developing in my own journey, I found that life is actually like a marathon or a triathlon, right? So there are different events within life and different seasons within life and different environment that you need to take care of and things like that. And so when people look at health and nutrition from a standpoint of, hey, this is a career that I'm doing, and I've got to learn what is the latest drugs or supplements and things like that. They actually may be losing sight of the passion in itself from the start, right? Why do we want to be healthy? If you think about it, I want to be healthy because I've got parents that are aging that I want to take care of, right? I don't want to be so tired that so busy and so unfit that if they needed me to help them, I couldn't do it. Or we do it because of our children, right? We want to be able to run with them. We want to be able to have fun with them, take them to the park and play with them. But then a lot of parents, I see that very often, right? They take the kids to the park and then they leave the kids there and then they are playing with their cell phone. Then that whole time spent is missed. The kids are playing, they are in a different world, and so the interaction is gone, right? So, and that's why I feel that a lot of this has got to do with the appreciation of the health and fitness kind of active healthy lifestyle. Actually, it's a lifestyle. And lifestyle, you have people, places, things, and yourself, and if you can actually look at it holistically and say, hey, where are the places I want to go? I don't want to go to Bali and look at people doing windsurfing and doing jet skiing, and I can't do it, right? Because I might it's painful here or whatever. I don't know how to dive or whatever. So I want to be able to do those activities when I'm there, right? So at whatever age. And so if you look at that, then holistically, when you say active, healthy lifestyle, it should lead to being able to do anything that you want with whomever that you want, whenever that you want. You don't have to worry about your health or your fitness not being able to take you there. I think that is key. So when I look at it as that, then I think of my wife and my children. I've got two teenage children, and I also want them to actually adopt habits like that, rather than they sit around and play games. They do as well, right? I mean, they're kids, right? So they sit around and play games and watch TikTok and do all the things that children do. But I also take them out and say, hey, let's go for a hike, or let's go for a run. And I want them to experience life that way outside of the four walls, and say, hey, you should take this up, because when our time comes to stop, you are taking over. But what knowledge do you have? Not just head knowledge, but heart knowledge. And what do you want for your family? I think that is why the philosophy is very important for me, rather than just doing the thing and getting the accolades and getting the those are important too, because you can do selfie and Instagram and pictures and all that. But I think more of that is to show my children that, hey, if Papa is now in his 40s and I'm pursuing my own health and eating healthy and exercising and still going for it, right, to break through personally in all aspects of my life, then there's no excuse as a teenager. As you go on, that's something that they will remember, that hey, life is about challenging yourself to take the next step. It's you versus you, rather than you versus someone else. There's no competition that way. And that's why coming back to triathlon, why I love it so much, because there is no competition with one another. It's just everybody is racing against themselves, right? So yeah, so in that sense, I think that's the biggest difference that I see. Taking whatever that I share out there has come through this experiences, or for me, this understanding of health and wellness.
Mm. The one thing that I'm curious of, because of your corporate background, right? So not many people actually like want to be a coach, or it's inclined to be a coach. So like, what drive you to actually want to take on the role to
Right.
educate people and influence people? Because many people have the thought, but whether they can do it or whether they really want to do it is a different story. So what is it for you?
I think for me is impact, right? So I can get my again, right, coming back to the whole perspective. I can get myself healthy, my children healthy, my family healthy, but my daughter will marry someone, and my son will marry someone into another family. And if you know we ourselves are doing it for ourselves, and we feel happy, and we're not sharing it, and we're not taking it out there, then the next generation will marry someone. Who knows, right? They'll pick someone, and then that person is not healthy. Then what happens, right? So they will go through the same pain and the same struggle, and they also will be influenced otherwise, right? So if you think about it that way, then part and parcel of it is to pass this down on the knowledge or the understanding. I think we're all led in life through a path of different things that happens to us. We can either take it and say, hey, I've gained this knowledge, and I want to now take this knowledge and share it out, and to make all the experiences useful and helpful. Or we can just say, hey, this is my experience, and that's it, right? So for me, it's more of that, right? To make an impact to the world. I think I think I've come to that place whereby having personal kind of success and those accolades and trophies and all that. I think I've had that, but it's not fulfilling. I think what's more fulfilling is to see other people get that as well. And so that's why one of the goals is to be able to touch 100,000 lives with the message that I have, right? So that is a goal that I've set. And let's see, 2021, that's how far we can go with that goal.
So cool. So cool.
Definitely cool. So Eugene, uh, I think one of the main reasons I invited you is because you are the person who walk the talk. So basically, all of my guests they must walk the talk, like what they meant. So I know that you have a program, also your signature program called Fit Beyond 40 method, right?
Yeah.
So could you explain like further or let our audience know what is it all about, and then where did this idea come from?
Okay, so Fit Beyond 40 method. Actually, Fit Beyond 40 is a hashtag that I used when I started my Ironman journey, right? So uh, in Facebook, if you want to search for your old pictures and just your journey, it's easier to hashtag, rather than putting into albums and things like that. So I actually groomed that hashtag, thinking one day could it be possible that what I was doing in my journey, I could share with other people, and so that they can also take it on, right? Because a lot of people look at me and even my friends around, those who are triathletes and doing this thing, and they think that, wow, you can do it, I can't. But looking back, I was just as unhealthy, also started with a pair of shoes and a bicycle and swimming trunks. I also jumped into the pool and felt scared and drank a lot of water. I also fell off of my bike. I also had injuries. So I think that this is part and parcel of it. And if I can do it, of all people, right, I'm probably one of the, if you ask my wife, she will say that he's very disciplined, but he's also very indisciplined, right? So I don't know what caught on to him, right? So I think that if if I can do, I think anybody can be doing this, because it's not that crazy after all, right? So I invite both MayOoi and Evelyn to come and join me, okay? And then you might get back. And coming back to your question about what Fit Beyond 40. So I groomed the hashtag, and then later on a lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm not 40 yet, or I'm way past 40. But it's actually not about the age of being 40, right? The whole thing about Fit Beyond 40 is actually a journey of 40 days, whereby um, uh, I actually went through this as a program that I put into a system for myself, how I got from one step to the next in terms of my own health and my journey through Ironman, is this 40-day period. So, it starts with a resetting of the mind, of the body, and also of the emotions, and then building on the rest of it, whether it's the eating and the health, and the muscles and the training and all that. And so, why did I choose 40 days? Um, I don't know. Actually, at that point in time, I was also on a spiritual journey, so to speak, right? So, as I was reading the Bible, Jesus actually fasted for 40 days. And I say, hey, 40 days seems like a good time, right? and so that's and so I I I I use this 40 days because it's long enough to build a habit, but not so long that people will feel so tired from not seeing results. Because the Ironman journey actually took me 9 months, no more than that, 10 months to prepare. Right. So if I told you that something will take 10 months to prepare, you go like, I don't want to do, right? So 40 days is, 10 days of preparing yourself, and then a 30-day period of actually activating the program, so to speak, right? So this method was formulated and I used it for myself. So what happened was when I formulated it, I said, yeah, I've gone through it, and during the MCO, right? I said, let me use this program. People couldn't go out. We were so frustrated. We couldn't go out. We couldn't go to the swimming pool. We couldn't go to the gym. We couldn't do anything, right? Everybody was locked in. So would it be possible if I use exercises that are just in the house, no equipment? Is it possible? So at that time, I was already quite fit in the sense that I did this thing called the ever resting, which is taking a bicycle and climbing the ascent of Mount Everest.
Yes, yes.
Right, you heard of it,
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that took me 18 hours to complete. You can stop for periods of no more than 30 minutes at each point, right? So I started on a Friday, 3 a.m. until Saturday, the next evening, right? And I completed it with again with a group of friends.
Mhm.
So 8,480 something meters. So that was the climb that we did, right? So
Mhm.
I was quite fit then, but I was saying, okay, what next, right? So I said, if I put this program together, another thing that I wanted to check off from in my list was, it is nothing special to have a six pack when you're in your teens or your 20s. Still okay if you've been maintaining and have it in your 30s, but in your 40s and you never had it, is it possible, right? Is it possible to do it? So I did the 40-day, the Fit Beyond 40 program, the method, and I practiced it accordingly. And yeah, after 40 days, I actually did a photo shoot with six packs. And if you've seen some of the advertisements that I have, then then it is that those are photos that are not doctored or anything. It's just taken, right? So, and a lot of my Ironman friends, saying, "Oh, how do you do it?" And they said, "Yeah," I said, "You can also do it too." But they go, "I love eating too much." I said, "But as long as you're healthy, right?" So this for me was more of a for my own satisfaction, right? And it is possible actually. So you don't have to have, let's say, kind of like going to the gym like crazy. Just body weight exercises, no equipment. Done, right? Possible. So how do you do that? So a lot of people think is, you got to lift a lot of weights. No, right? 30 minutes each day, body weight exercises. That's it. Start where you are. I think at that time I started with the 20 by 20, right? 25 by 25, the push-up challenge. That's how I got started. If you look at my Facebook, you will see I couldn't even do 10 push-ups when I started.
I'm so intrigued with your program right now. Like so intrigued.
And so yeah, I mean, straight after that, because Evelyn and I think we were in that in David Chua's program called Video Hero, I think. And the challenge was to launch something. So I said, okay, let's take it out there. If this can help people stay sane, all right. And so I launched the program, and the day that we were doing the videos in the course was the day that I sent out, and then started to get my first batch of students. right? So it's quite amazing. And so we've done a few rounds of it so far, or 40 days, and people have been having some tremendous results. It's not just about the scoring the six pack. It's about now having the right understanding and foundational piece on how to build a healthy active lifestyle, right? That they can take away and build upon it. For me, is triathlon. For them, it could be whatever that they want. They can take the foundation, the eating, the sleeping, all the different things within the program, and then add on, let's say, go and do other exercises in the gym or yoga, whatever that they like to do, right? And be able to now take it to the next step. Yeah. So the program is actually a foundational, getting everybody to throw away a lot of this myth about dieting, about exercising. Actually, you don't have to have that to actually be fit and healthy. But if you enjoy a certain sport, then you need to have this so that you don't get injured and you're doing it right. And I think that is very important.
So, do you mind to share like some of the interesting stories or experiences that your participants has actually shared with you after going
Sure,
through the program?
sure. So there was this. I've got the interesting thing is I've had students that are from in their late 20s all the way to mid 50s, right? So male and female, right? So one of the stories maybe I can share with you was a classmate of mine when I was in high school. We've lost contact, and what happened was he actually was silently following me on Facebook and the healthy living tips, right? So silently, and then I actually did a session whereby I wanted to share the first steps of getting yourself healthy, right? So it was a 90-minute, sorry,
It's okay. It's okay.
it was a 90-minute kind of a session, a Zoom session. Very bored at time, nothing to do, so I did this session. And so he came on, and he said, "No, I'm definitely joining your program," right? So initially I thought, okay, Then later on, he texted me and said, "No, I'm serious. I've got 10 kids, and I'm afraid that, yeah, my classmate." I was like, so we lost contact since high school, right? So 10 kids, I said, "You're amazing." So he said, "No, but I need to stay healthy for them." I said, "Good. That is a great goal to have." And so he enrolled into the program, and he started. We started the program. He was tracking quite well until week 3, I think. Week 3 of the program, he actually he actually shared during one of our sessions, group sessions. He said, I got this testimonial, amazing, right? He says, I couldn't. I was actually going to go for surgery for both my knees because his knees are short, right? Going for a knee replacement. Actually supposed to be in May or June, but then of the MCO also cannot. Then it was pushed back until MCO is over. But he said that after being in the program and understanding and learning, initially everybody's scared. I've got people who had rotator cuff injury, surgery on both shoulder joints. They say, "Hey, I can't do this exercise." I say, "No, you will be able to do all the exercises that are prescribed because they are actually tailored to you and your condition, right?" So what happened was he actually said that after 3 weeks of being in the program, he already dropped, I think it was 12 kilos or something like that, 12 kilograms already. And he said that, he, for the first time, and he said he didn't share, earlier because he wanted to see whether it was just, that day or 2 days. But for the first time after 7 or 8 years, he said he couldn't do his prayers, right? He's a Malay Muslim, and so they pray 5 times, and they need to do this solat thing, which is to bend and bow and things like that. And so he couldn't do the prayers completely, and that was one of the duties that he said that he felt so terrible that he cannot do it. Yeah. So he said, I've been praying 5 times for the past 6 days, and he shared with the group, and everybody's like, wow, was so encouraging, so amazed, right? So he was one of the people that from then on you could see him just getting more excited, to complete the program, and he's doing really, really well. His goal was to drop 20 kilos, and he was short of, I think, 1.2 kilos when we ended the program, but he's already gotten there because I kept in contact with him. He is now uh, super fit, already gone back to running, knees have no issues, actually didn't need knee
Amazing.
surgery. So that was one of those those stories that are life changing, right? But then again, for those who are listening, please, you need to do this together with your doctor and your physician, and also your therapist, to be able to allow you to do that. Okay, so I'm not advocating that. Uh, so there's another story, was a lady, a younger lady who is now preparing herself. They were doing some family planning and want to now have kids, but she was a little bit anemic and also had issues with eating, not disorder, but her her digestive system wasn't that good, right? So she had hunger pangs late at night. So in the middle of the night, she had to actually get up, go downstairs, eat some food. If not, it'll be gastric pain and all that. I said, this is the first time hearing that, right? And so she said, yeah, really weird, right? So she wasn't overweight, but obviously, I don't know whether you know the syndrome called skinny fat.
Yes.
Skinny but fat, right? So, and so she was like that, and being on the program, the first thing she realized after the reset, because there was a lot of new knowledge, but also understanding, a lot of aha moments for her, and all the fears of, hey, if I do this, I'll get gastric, I might need to go to hospital. I said, no, don't worry, just do it, right? And so, uh, she actually also the third week or so, actually, all about the third week, a lot of people get the aha moments. And she said, I realized that I I didn't need to wake up to eat anymore, right? So that helps with the digestive system, because it's a very holistic program that we do. So from eating to sleeping to making sure hydration is sufficient, and then the exercises. So the numerous stories like that, where people have really pushed beyond what they thought was reality about their own health, that they can actually do more, right, with it. And they were surprised that, they could actually do a push-up. A lady started say, hey, it's impossible, I cannot do a push-up. I say, no, it's possible, right? We'll take you through just step by step. Let's do this. And then they are so surprised, right? And they get so much stronger. Initially, they say, I will grow so much muscle, I'll look like a man. I said, no way you look like a man. You don't have enough testosterone to look like a man, but you actually look leaner and slimmer. So I got them to take before and after photographs, and it's not for public. I never do this before after photograph, but it's for them, because I think a lot of us, we look at the mirror and we look at ourselves every day. Some of us like it very much, some of us really dislike it. But as we make those changes, we don't actually get to see the changes because we see ourselves every day, right? But showing them a photo of them starting out, and then at the end, then they themselves go, it's been amazing, right? So yeah, I'm glad that whatever that we've been doing so far actually helped change many lives. So we tell them to take this and do it with their family. For me, it's not everybody got to join the cause, but if you take this and it's a foundation piece, if you share this foundation piece with your family, then your family will get healthy with you and the people around you too. So that's just some stories for me.
Oh my God, that's brilliant, and then that's so cool. Yeah. Eugene, I have quite a personal question I want to ask you, because I'm from a personal trainer background, so I can understand what do you mean. And then why I say this is a personal question is because I'm still facing this kind of questions that I want to ask you. So uh, most of the people who come to me and they ask for my help, they just want to look tall or look slim, and then just like the model that they see on the social media.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean, right? So but I know, like, they what they really need is like a diet, lifestyle, mindset, and then good rest, and then release stress. That kind of thing. It's not just simply like exercise 7 days a week and then just be like crazy diet and then intermittent fasting because most of the girls they try intermittent fasting and then they just like spoil their menstrual cycle. So when they came to me, like they are in a very very terrible situation. So yeah, so my question is, how do you handle like when you say or when you tell them some mindset stuff, and then how do you handle their objection when they don't believe in mindset?
Okay, so there are few things that I personally think and actually practice is number one, if this was told to me many years ago, and the phrase that says that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? So that saying is, I may not be able to be your teacher because you're not ready as a student. So when you're ready, then this message you will actually receive more readily. But another saying that I also caught on to is this, right? That people overestimate what they can do in a short period of time, but underestimate what they can actually achieve when they look at the thing in a longer period of time. So the question is not, in 3 months' time, can I wear a bikini? Is what are the lifestyle actions or activities that you can do for the next 10 years, 20 years? Because I keep reminding them, you don't want to live to 85 and be in a wheelchair for the last 10 years of your life and be bedridden. You want to live up to 85, and the day before you go away, you're still active and you're healthy and you can pick up your grandchildren. You can do things like that. So if that's the goal, then keep in mind that if you're doing this thing now, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it's whether you're exercising like crazy, can you do it sustainably until you're 85? If the answer is no, then why do it? I'll ask that question, right? Would you be able to sustain? So what can you do that will allow you to sustain doing it for the rest of your life? That's what we call an active, healthy lifestyle. So if whatever you're doing now can make you look good in camera, on Instagram and on Facebook and in all this social media, but your menstrual cycle has stopped for the last 4 months, and then suddenly when it comes, it's non-stop bleeding, right? Then that's already your whole body is already out of sync, right? That's why it happens like that. So if it continue to be out of sync like that, do you think at 85 you will still be able to have this healthy body to take you, to do whatever you want? If the answer is no, then think again, right? So I can only show you what is sustainable. Start where you are and build it on step by step. It is not tomorrow that you're gonna have a bikini body, but you would. That's why I say, for someone in 20, 30 years old to have a bikini body, quite simple. For someone to have a bikini body at 50, 60, 70, that is a great achievement. So the question is, which do you want? So if you want to look good, feel good, and be strong and healthy all the way, then better rethink what you're doing now, because you may be using up all your body's essence now, and then you'll be depleted, and you won't be able to even live that long. So that kind of mentality is very important for people to understand.
Yep. Yes. Oh my God. You.
So
Okay, go on, May. Welcome back.
no. So just sorry. So out of curiosity, like is there any like gender majority? Like, do you see more males, females, or I know you mentioned that you are seeing 20 over something to elderlies, but what about gender wise?
Mix, actually. I somehow, funnily, right? I do I I actually did this Facebook group called Healthy Living with Eugene. It's a private group, and the reason why it was private is because there were a lot of scammers out there, during the MCO period that go and hound on people, and so I just wanted the people that came in, they were serious about learning and knowing more and asking questions. So I put it into a private group, and funnily, I thought more men would want to know this, but you know the ratio of people coming on and signing on and coming in were 73% female. And yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the topics that I touched on were more heart issues and things like that, rather than big muscle, big muscle. I don't know, but yeah, I think statistic wise, the people that come onto the program are more male, because I think they find it easier to talk to a male. But my female students are also no, I think there's no gender bias in the sense, but I wish it would be more equal, because I think when the ladies come in, they bring about a different dynamics altogether. Because if not, it'd be so, oh, I can do longer than you, I can push up more, which is really, really unnecessary, right? Because everybody's on their own journey. Yeah.
So what would be your plan for 2021? Like, I mean, you have already started with a really good base to create a community. Of course, maintaining community is another story, but yeah, what would it be like for you for 2021?
Yeah. So what happens is I will continue, but in a very different format as well, because I'm very desk bound during the first 100 Facebook Live that I did, with all the content. I think it's great content. Everybody tells me that it's great content that you share. I've been out, after a run at a cafe, and people say, "Oh, you're that Eugene guy, right?" I'm like, yes. Somebody shared the video or something like that, right?
I'm also one of your fans of your Facebook Live.
You see, so Evelyn has never messaged or anything, right? So I don't know, who watches or who doesn't, right? So they, I want to actually reach out to more people, and that's why we're moving it to YouTube. I think YouTube is a better platform to do what I want to do, and it is even more holistic, because I think the next 2021, one of the biggest factors is no more just about health. In fact, if you really understand human psychology, people are willing to give up. The first thing that they're willing to give up first is their own health. In fact, you tell them, they're willing to give up their life for a cause, right? For example, they say, hey, my family is more important, so they can give up sleep, let's say for their kids, right? Or they can give up and go and work very hard out there and then give up their health. In a situation like a war, right? The man will say, hey, I'm gonna fight for a cause. Die also never mind. So human beings are just like that psychologically, right? So I think health is very crucial and very important, but as we move along the timeline of what's happening, if we take a look at the COVID world over, right? UK has gone back into lockdown as we speak now, right? China, the different countries, and the second wave, just like the Spanish flu. I don't know whether you studied that or not. The second wave was the worst one, the killer, right? More people die on the second wave than the first one. So I think there's this whole thing that's happening now, a bit that there is this vaccine coming out, but then again, that's another story altogether. But what has happened, if you look at the timeline, is because I also come from a business background, right? I come from corporate strategy and things like that. So I know for certain that many people in 2021, the biggest headache or the biggest fear is a lack of income, and what they're going to do about their lives, right? So you see a lot of people coming out to start new businesses, but people who have not been in business, starting businesses, will be like me before, right? get very stressed and fight all the time. My wife and I actually fought all the time during that time because we're so different as people, and suddenly we sleep, eat, talk 24 hours. Everything was a business, so that was really unhealthy. And so next year, a very huge thing that will happen for that channel, for the YouTube channel, will be we will focus more on definitely the health part will continue, but actually financial health, personal financial health is another part that I really have this burden that I think a lot of people are like, I see the way people have gone back out to spend money, and I'm going like, they've gone past the moratorium and they still don't understand that, hey, it's time to look at how you can conserve and not spend, right? And look at how you can now reorganize finances to be able to maybe do some investing so that the investment will be able to now cover some of the drop in the business or drop in the income, right? So there's a lot of all these things that I think is unsaid. Just a lot of gurus out there currently teaching people, hey, you should start a business, so that there's more security, job not so secure. I think yes, but having a business or starting a business, I think Evelyn would know it, right? You come and do your own thing. It's not a bed of roses, right? It also takes 3 years, 5 years of learning, just like a career. So I think that part of it will also begin. We want to look at the channel and look at health even more holistically now, right? So what about your financial health? Are you doing well? So don't talk about ideals when financially you're eating Maggie mee every day. Then how? You're never going to get healthy. You say, yeah, for a period of time you can eat, like cup noodles for a while, but how long do you want to do that? You're eating cup noodles here, but driving a big, sedan. Well, why don't you downsize? All very malu. So how do you deal with all these kind of things? So we want to talk about that also in the psychological and also emotional health. How do you deal with that, right? So downsizing or stepping down in the lifestyle is not something to be ashamed of. Actually, everyone goes through that because the market condition changes. So I think there's very little understanding of that, or at least people talk about it openly to deal with that. Everybody just talk about stepping up, more and more expensive cars, more and more expensive houses. But how do you sustain this kind of lifestyle? It just causes you more stress, and definitely, ulcers will come, sleepless nights will come. So if we want to actually help people, then I think this is also an area that is very important. So next year, the channel will have areas whereby we will talk about tips on how you can start to do some investing.
Okay, interesting. Sorry. Interesting in the sense that because so I studied. I can't remember what subject was that. I definitely did not study psychology. I remember studying some after the base.
Cannot. Your line very bad. Yes, I think MayOoi was talking about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Goes years of human needs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So I actually in my program I talk about it quite a bit.
It seems like with the pandemic and so on. Okay, yes, correct. So understanding the basic human needs, ideally it should be layered by layer, right? But I realized ever since like pandemic and so on, psychologically it's supposed to be at the top. And then after that, the basic needs whereby our sleep, eat, and everything is supposed to be at the bottom. It seems that the hierarchy is getting less and less relevant these days. It's all over the place because there are people who actually has all the needs below, but they are still kind of like not top. Then now when they get food, the pandemic comes and then wipe out the base. So is that what you are trying to help, like just make sure that everybody understands like
yes.
all the needs?
Yes. So interestingly, you brought this up, right? Because I actually deal with this in the Fit Beyond 40 Method program, because I think the Maslow's hierarchy of need is something that I don't buy into. Actually, because and you say it right, the pandemic actually brought out the best and the worst in us, and it actually shows that whole hierarchy. And the reason why that hierarchy for me doesn't work very well is because right at the top of the pyramid of Maslow's theory is that is self-actualization, right? So everybody is looking at building up to the point of the self-actualize, meaning it's very much inward focused. That means is how I feel and how well I am, or how it's all about me, right? So what I actually shift people from looking at the Maslow's hierarchy of need, I actually take them into a different kind of a thinking, right? I say your life is made out of the 8 human needs, right? So if you look at it, we have simplified it into 6, but just talk about the 8 human needs, right? So you have a spiritual, you have education, you have family, you have social, you have health, so you have all these needs, and they actually surround you, and you can't actually look at it and say, hey, let's look at fulfilling food, and shelter first, because that that is not. If everybody looks at that, then they are worrying about their own food and shelter. But the the difficulty is this, right? Because what I deem as food, I can go to a economy rice store and eat 6 ringgit 50 cent or 4 ringgit 50 cent worth of food, and pick the right nutrient balanced food and get a good meal. But someone will say that, oh, that is not real food. It needs to be restaurant, right? So when you look at that, then if everybody was just so busy looking at their own food and shelter could be, some people live under cardboard carton on the street and they sleep for the night, and others live in big mansions, and aircon 24 hours, and they say, oh, I'm afraid that I don't have enough money. So what happens is that is because of that difference, I think then that where the hierarchy of needs actually start to fall apart, because that is very inward looking, selfish looking in a sense. So but when we look at the various aspects of the 8 dimensions of our needs, then it's the output, right? So it's not so much of who I can become or how actualized I can be, but more of how I can contribute. So I think that contribution part is a little bit lacking in the sense that it only comes at the top. So if we begin to look at every action that I do, everything, every single day that I do, if I eat healthier, then, or I choose healthier and I talk about it and I show people that I'm doing this, then other people will follow suit. Then what will happen is the bigger brands will start looking at providing healthier options in food, right? And that's what happened to a lot of the fast food as well. Now they've got healthy options. Still not very healthy, but it's getting healthier. But if more and more people actually do that, and it starts with us now being out there and doing it so that everybody else can see, and everybody else, like I wouldn't buy, let's say, things that are harmful to the body. And if everybody begin to think that way, then those things will be out of the supermarket shelves, because everybody is not buying it, then they stop producing it, right? So I think that kind of thinking, and that's the human needs in the various aspects, whereby when we are true to ourselves, true to other people, true to this environment that we live in, then I think in terms of our living will be much better. So it's more like that rather than a hierarchical, like one step at a time. It's more like it's actually
Cycle.
surrounding you. Yeah, a cycle, right? So if you can move around that cycle and actually now influence yourself and the people around you in all these different areas, then I think that's when things will get better. Just like what you guys, what Evelyn has done. She can actually go out there and continue doing fitness instruction and make her money so that she can have better living, better whatever, buy better gym equipment, put at home. I know she's building her own home gym, also getting very, very nice, but and she can continue to do that. But she chose to do this podcast, work very hard, do the editing, and do all these things. And then people think I'm crazy. And then people ask, how much money are you making doing this? And you say zero. People say you're mad. But you see exactly what you're doing now. You're taking different ones on board to share their knowledge, share their passion, share their dream, share their vision, and people that are willing to come on to share. Then I think we are doing things that are fulfilling the other parts of life, not just the that ego, that whole self-actualization bit, but more on, hey, if I share this more, then more people can get to understand, not understand me, but maybe have a different perspective to what they already know. Then I think things will get much better.
Oh, Eugene, can you like?
Yeah, super interesting. Super interesting.
Oh my god, you're like a real guru in like just right in front of me. Oh my god.
Good. Because
So
talking about the balance like that, I just is people a lot more like in a way seesaw balance. So because based on the hierarchy, there is only like uni direction.
That's right.
Where like it doesn't really matter like who gets, like, of course when we talk about life there are a lot of unforeseen circumstances whereby sometimes certain areas, certain aspect gets elevated, and then certain aspect, a little bit of time that you are trying to share with people is that it's okay if things goes unbalanced, because there's always way to come things by layer that it out of control.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
it safe to say that?
exactly right. Yeah, I mean, like if you look at it, right? So if you ask me, what good has the pandemic done? I know everybody says, I'm through with 2020, right? Because of the pandemic, right? But if you look at what good did it do to humankind, right? Is if you look, it actually shows you a lot more about people's their heart, right? So there's this group of people that will be out there. I mean, I'm not talking about the frontliners. I really respect them. I really salute them, right, for all that they do and the sacrifice that they make. But we're not talking about those. We're talking about people who are now, let's say, sitting at home and they are actually now contributing by making PPE and giving it away. There's a huge group of my friends who actually gather whatever money and resources that we can gather, and we do food boxes and send out to families that we know for certain, because of this pandemic and this shutdown, they are even to a point where they can't feed they don't know when the next meal is coming from, right? There are actually quite a few people like that. And if you go down to KL, the streets, you will see a lot of homeless people, and they are not, the beggar that has been there for ages, even in good times and bad times, right? Is these people are displaced because they lost their job, and they're being kicked out or evicted from their property, that the rental property they're in, and now they're living on the streets, right? So there's you will see this diverse spectrum of human living, and you go like, wow, who 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 will we become, or who are we now, and who will we want to become? Do we want to be those that are caring and sharing with other people, or do we want to be we watch all these Jay Shetty videos, we all watch all these videos and we feel, wow, so touched, or and all this. But when it comes to us, right, when it hits us, do we now protect our last amount of money that we have, and keep it, and or are we also sharing that, because other people are also suffering? So what are we doing? you know, and this is what the pandemic has done, right? So that's why I think you are absolutely right. You know that I think the realization that that whole hierarchy is actually broken down, and that's why when people talk about the new normal, it is not about the new normal how we can make more money. It's new normal to societal living. How is this affecting us in totality? You know, a lot of people are stuck at home and they've got they're developing mental health issues, right? They are so kind of, you know, a lot of children are facing it. So how many people are actually taking time to understand? You know, a lot of parents, right? My wife is a teacher, and you know, there are a lot of children that used to do very well in school, that in a live setting they do a lot worse in a Zoom setting, right? But you know, parents are so bogged down with their own, you know, businesses and all that, they fail to see that the children, if they are finding it tough, how much more their children are having issues, right? So that's why I very quickly, when I see signs in my own children that you know, they're not coping well, right, I switch off whatever I'm doing and move and pay attention to them. We always say that we do this for our kids or we do this for our family, but then think again, are we doing it for ourselves, that hierarchy, you know, and the self satisfaction of our own pride, or do we actually do it for our family? If we do it for our family, then can we just switch off and say, hey, let's focus on our family, right? So you know, I did see some behavioral changes in my son, and so I actually took a week off. Other than the podcast that I do, I actually took a week off from, you know, rushing to build what we want to do next year and say, hey, that can wait. But you know, giving care to my son cannot wait, right? Because you know, will he get past this? He may, of course he would live past it, but can he get past this emotionally, or would it affect him adversely later on in life? I think that is more important. So you know, if people are listening, and if parents are listening, then I urge parents to actually pay more attention to their children, in terms of their psychological health, and not just neglect. They are at home every day, 24 hours. So sometimes we get so tired as well. But that little changes, that nuances, that changes in them, right? Then we need to switch up and do things that are different. So we started doing things. My wife and I, you know, have taken time out to build Legos with them. We started, you know, doing education differently. You know, playing Monopoly. We play this game called Cash Flow. I don't know whether you know this game called Cash Flow, by Robert Kiyosaki, right? So I was trained to be a licensed facilitator in doing facilitating cash flow. So then I've taken this and taken it down to, you know, my children's level. But we are learning math, we are learning life through the game, right? So that time spent with them, you know, could be just for, you know, that 4 or 5 days that we really concentrated on them, and then we saw them go back to normal, right? Their own normal development. So I think if people miss that and they're still so bogged down and struggle with just one area, which is the finances, then I think that would be such a tragedy. So the question is, with this learning of this kind of hierarchy and all this, is it really real? I don't know. I don't know anymore. And that's where I also will spend quite a lot of time next year talking about this, as people, more and more people will go through some form of financial hardship, I think, right? Majority, you know, there'll be some will do very well, but majority will actually face this. But then it's the best time to make that adjustment. It's again, right? Downsizing is part and parcel of life. A lot of people take it as, oh, you know, doom and gloom. I don't look at it as so. I think, you know, simplify the living and actually expand more in the relationship, and in dealing with people, and things like that are more important. Yeah, so yeah, I agree with you, MayOoi.
Fantastic. I mean, it's really like an eye opener to actually hear someone to talk about things like this. Like we stop materializing or monetizing a lot of our investment into something that we feel is tangible, but go for something that is intangible, but yet it is so important for our overall well-being as a human, as a community. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm done with questions. Evelyn, can go back to you.
Okay, so I think we like almost come to the end, and just one more I should say like bonus question. So please give me a sec. Let me open the question. Excuse me. Okay, so Eugene, so I know you have shared a lot of information and also your values to our podcast episode, and I also believe that our audience will not be satisfied yet, and I believe there will be more people that they want to get to know more about you, and maybe they want to follow you on your like latest updates or your 2021 programs. Is there any pathways or any uh, links that they can approach to you, or maybe like know more about you?
Yes, I think there was a gift that I've actually prepared for anyone that comes on the podcast and listen to, which is a 30-minute. I call it a 360 kind of a chat about building 2021 to be a better year for for individuals. Unfortunately, I will not be able to do like everyone, right? So it's on a first come first serve basis. When this podcast actually gets out there live, I will have slots, 3 to 4 slots a day over a period of 2 weeks. I think 10 days to 2 weeks that I'll take people that are actually watching Evelyn's podcast, right? So it's as a gift to her listeners in her podcast, that we can go through this a very structured way of looking at how we can help anyone who is looking for a plan of action that they can do in order to get them started into an active, healthy lifestyle, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally.
So
So look
you can
for
find
the
out.
link in the description.
Yes,
Is that how?
yes.
Okay.
So how about your first, like,
Yep.
do you invite our audience to like check out
Your
your private
Facebook.
Facebook group?
Sure, sure. Yeah, my face, you can look for me. I don't have, funny names. You can look for me on Facebook. It's Eugene Wong. You can find me there. I am currently adding whoever that I can, but I've got, I think, over 600 more friend requests. I just realized because I have not have been looking at it, right? So, but it will max out pretty soon, and you'll probably move into more of. I think there is something called the profile page or something like that, right? So I'm going to move that into that, whereby I get to share more of what I'm doing, and people are interested to come on board, because we are also setting up next year a monthly meet up with people who are looking at building. It's all pro bono, and it means it's free of charge, right? So into actually re-looking at the bigger pieces of life, and saying, hey, how do I manage this, right? So a lot of people have got different things that are happening, have got debts, have got maybe some habits that they want to kick, like eating too much or whatever. So we're doing this. We're going to have to do it once a month. I think we're having our first one on the 9th of January. So yeah, Evelyn, if you are in town, but definitely MayOoi, right? So make the invitation out to you guys. But those information will be shared actually on my Facebook starting January the 2nd onwards. So I'm actually not posting anything in this week or so. It's very, for me, this last week is very important for me to spend time with my family and with my wife as we plan ahead on what we're going to do strategically for next year. So other than this call, this is probably the only public thing that I'm doing. Other than that, then there's no post that I'm doing during this period. But definitely 2nd January we'll all start all over again. And I really want to break that whole sequence that people say that if you don't post after 2 days, you know the people will not listen to you. I think well, I don't buy that. I think I want
Yeah,
to
I think as content creator, I mean, or any educator, influencer, that is one thing that I feel it's burdening because I can see there is benefit to maintaining a certain regularity, but if everybody is doing that, basically it's just bombarded by information. As audience, it's that there is a level that people start to become fatigued, and I can totally see how those social media companies do want people to stay on at those platforms. That's why they want creators to keep posting things. But yeah, it does come to a point whereby everybody is fatigued, and then when that happens, it totally defies the effort of educating people, like giving that positivity, because it's just too tiring. Yeah.
just flies off. Actually, nobody actually gets anything, right? So
Yep.
Yeah.
and it takes a toll on people. I think that itself is a bondage that we need to break. So so if there's a message out there that I would like to leave everyone is, live a life not bound by social norms and laws that are set up by people. Just because the gurus say that doesn't mean that that is what's for you, right? So live a life that now you feel you are growing as a person, but also you are doing as much as you can to give of yourself to others. I think that is key, and I want to live every one with that, and also have a great New Year celebration. But don't forget to be introspective as well, to look at what is in for your own growth next year, right? So not just about more money, and not about more muscles, or less fat. Not about that, but holistically, what more, how else you can be more to more people. So yeah, that will be if there's any word that I would like to get out there, is that.
Very wise, Eugene. I mean, people do need to hear that, and of course, thank you for sharing all your wise opinions or suggestions. I mean, even if I'm not sure about how the audience is going to take it, but personally, I've learned a lot, and I'm sure that there are much more things that we can learn. I hope that people will get in touch with you as well. To basically make the world a better place.
Yeah, I think it takes all of us to do that, right?
Yep. So thank you, Eugene, for coming today, and then I will keep Eugene in touch, and then I will update anything. So if Eugene, like, if you have like any new updates, I will like really update everything on the on my podcast, and then also on my podcast website. So that's our episode 3, and then thank you for tuning in. So bye.
Okay, bye, Eugene.
Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us in this episode 3 on Speak Up Show Evelyn Chow's podcast. And thanks for listening to the end. Be sure to tune in again for our next episode. Speak up and change the world. I'm your podcaster Evelyn Chow signing off.